y'all. Merry Christmas, Happy Chrysler. Special holiday time is always a great opportunity to open a special wine. Look what I'm having today. This is Corton Charlemagne. I think this is my first Grand Cru tasting in front of camera. I've had it in my little wine shelf. So we have a cellar as such for quite a while, and today it's exciting. It's a Grand Cru. And not just a Grand Cru, it is one of the most famous Grand Crus. Not corked, yay! I always smell the cork, I don't know why, but well, sometimes the cork can actually tell you if the wine itself is corked. I'm expecting a lot from this one. First of all, this is my favorite vintage, 2014 and 2016. These are two of my favorites. Oh. All right, if you remember, we also tasted Château 2015 together, which was the Famille Cru, and the Grand Cru is like a level higher in Burgundy. This one is not as intense, I would say. I think Chassagne was a bit, in color, was more intense. But just a beautiful golden, light golden. Oh my God, you can see my camera settings in here. Reflected in the glass. Okay, already. Corton Charlemagne. Let's settle so you can see the label and the wine if you need a sneak peek to remind you what we're talking about. So the place itself is absolutely gorgeous. Just a stunning place to be growing vine plants. Just like imagine this very gentle hill, or like a bit more of a mountain, not really a hill, but like a mountain. It's about 450 meters high. Just this really gentle kind of slopey, just a really gentle kind of mountain. Also spectacular view if you manage to climb on top and to just overlook these little villages of Pernon-Vagelès and La Douai-Sérigny that are situated next to this mountain, and just a beautiful view of those picturesque little Burgundy villages. So the cool thing about it is that this mountain, or this hill of Corton, the colline of Corton translated from French, it is covered with, oh, I got a message. It is covered with, like on top, there is actually a forest. So the top of that mountain is kind of flat, and there's this forest growing on top of the mountain. Now, forest is one of the best things that can ever happen to a vineyard, and let me tell you why. First of all, the forest protect the vineyard from both extreme heat or extreme warmth and extreme coldness. Cold, yeah. So for instance, if we're talking about extreme heat, if it's a very warm year, the vines are usually looking for water. They're looking to stay hydrated, and the forest helps with that. So it kind of provides this moisture. And in the harsh weather conditions, like when it's too cold and there's this like hailstorm even coming, or just extreme weather conditions, or just very rainy, the forest acts like a little shield, especially that protects the vineyards from the winds. The forest also helps to prevent erosion of the soils, which is of course very common, especially if your vineyard is situated on a hill. The steeper the hill, the more there's a danger of erosion, and the forest naturally helps protect that. And one of my favorite things about the forest is that, of course, it provides you this natural biodiversity. There are so many insects, little birds, little animals, like all kinds of diverse plants growing in the forest, and this is really good for the vine plant and good for the development of the different microorganisms in the soil. All right, let's decode the name a little bit. Maybe you're already familiar with the name, but the name of the wine is Corton Charlemagne, or rather the name of the Grand Cru is Corton Charlemagne. There's this legend about how this name came to be. Probably a legend because it's probably made up, but I still tell it to many people who are not familiar with Corton Charlemagne, and it kind of helps you to remember the wine a little bit better, if you will, if there's a story behind it. So the story goes like this. About in the 8th century, there was Charlemagne, or Karl the Great, or Charles the Great, something like this. In French, it's Charlemagne. And he was a grand wine drinker, and he just bought all of the vineyards that were planted in on this hill of Corton. He planted them with red wines exclusively, so only with Pinot Noir. He loved it. He had this huge beard, like a very imposant, older gentleman, and he would just drink them on a regular basis. He would just adore drinking the red wines. But his wife, however, was super annoyed with him because every time he drank the reds, he stained his beard, and she was like, "What the fuck? Your beard is always so messy. You need to stop drinking these reds. I'm gonna make you switch to white wines." So she actually pushed him to plant one little part of the Corton hill with white grapes. And so he did, and that little part of the hill is now called Corton Charlemagne, so a Grand Cru dedicated to Chardonnay grape varieties. Yeah, it's a spectacular, very well-known Grand Cru, so something super special. Now we're gonna read the label, but before I would like to just give you a little details about 2014 vintage, why it was a little, in my opinion, a little better than 2015. If you haven't watched the Chassagne-Montrachet video, I've tasted the 2015 Famille Carabello Chassagne-Montrachet. I'm gonna link it here if you would like to have a look. And 14 was a slightly cooler vintage, which is great, especially for the Grand Crus, because those are the wines that you wanna keep in your cellar for a couple of years. You don't want to drink them in their first years of life. You wanna, keep them to sleep a little bit, to get a little bit of that wisdom, to develop a bit, to become more interesting and intriguing and complex and all of that stuff that you expect from a 120 euro bottle. But 14, why the 14 vintage was so excellent? Precisely because this was a slightly colder vintage, so not as high temperatures in the periods where the berries ripen, namely July and August. And that means that our wine would be full of acidity. They would have this beautiful, refreshing acidity to them. And this is great for storage or for storing the wines. Yeah, because acidity is one of the key elements that helps promote longevity in wines. Yeah, that's why 14 is one of my favorite vintages. I love how fresh it is. But let's see, I haven't tasted it in a really, really long time. Last time I had Corton was probably 2 or 3 years ago, and I think it was in 2016. So it's been a while. Here we go, that special Burgundy. It's just developing a little bit. I'm gonna leave it in the glass a little bit and let's decode the label. Grand Cru, which is the classification level. Right underneath we have a vintage or year of harvest, which is 2014. Again, beautiful, fresh year for Burgundy, for whites. So moving on, then we have Corton Charlemagne. That is the name of the Grand Cru. By the way, with Grand Crus, you will only see the name of the Grand Cru on the bottle. You're not going to see the village, the name of the village and the name of the parcel, if the wines come from a specific parcel, like you do, for instance, in Famille Crus. You're just going to see the name of that Grand Cru. And this one, the Corton Charlemagne, is actually located between the two villages, so you can't really put a name of a specific village, and plus it's a hill, so but yeah, again, no grape variety inside, no Chardonnay. You just have to know that. You have to know your Grand Crus. There are not that many. There's only 2% of the vineyards in Burgundy that are classified as Grand Cru, so you can kind of learn them by heart if you want to impress somebody. Down below we have the name of the producer, which is Famille Carabello-Baum. This is the family that owns Château de Pommard, where I have been working for 5 years. It's a stunning place, beautiful 300-year-old chateau. Visit, remember the name, and visit, and that's it. Okay, what do I smell? A bit of apple pie, like apple dough, like even more like a pie crust. Let's go for apple strudel, that kind of baked apples and the doughiness. And of course, this is light flinty touch, which usually comes from this minerality that comes from the soils. Just lovely kind of burnt touch touch to it. Almost as if somebody would just light up a match, and then you have this kind of light smokiness floating in the air. Yeah, something like this. Just light note of honey as well. Orange peel. It's very packed, you know. There's this bundle of aromas that you would just slowly would have to unpack. I'm sure it has a fantastic character arc, so you have to wait like, I don't know, 45 minutes to really discover what this beautiful Corton CHARLEMAGNE is all about. Yeah, a bit of like this essential oils, like jasmine essential, or maybe a tea, like a jasmine tea, you know, something very kind of quite strong, quite pungent. Okay, it's incredibly fresh. There's this limey, lemony touch, incredibly fresh, really. But again, just a light oiliness to it too. Let me try to see. Well, this is not a buttery oiliness. It's just this bitter, like a very thin, creamy touch. Maybe more like yogurty. I would say a little thicker than yogurt. You know what else? A very pronounced saltiness too, especially on the sides. And what you can just feel like it's like a you know, like you have this, you're sipping your first margarita and then you have the salt rim around it. It's just a little light. Oh, nice. And then a lime. It's incredibly fresh. I'm actually really surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised because it's a 13 vintage, and as I said before, it was a chilly year. I'm going to have to share this bottle with my handsome boyfriend, hopefully. Maybe there's this nuttiness coming too, or more like a fresh almonds, not roasted, but more like fresh. Oh yeah. Oh wow. Oh, it's gonna make me teary. As I like to say, nice grip, nice tension. When the finish is just so long, it's incredible. It's like a minute and it's not going anywhere. Wow. All right, I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something as well from this little video. It was a pleasure to open such a unique and spectacular bottle for you. I'll see you very soon. Thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoy, hit that like button. I will be very, very happy. And maybe you write me a little comment too, what you thought about the video, or if you've already tasted ever in your life a Corton CHARLEMAGNE.